Hi everyone, so welcome back to my channel. In the last video, we have seen that how we can create a class component and also created a counter application using the class component structure. So in this video, we're going to see the lifecycle methods in more depth. Okay, so before starting the video, I request you guys to please subscribe my channel because it takes a lot of efforts to create such content, and if you show your support, it really motivates me to create such content for you. Okay, so now without a further ado, let's get started. So on the screen you can see this lifecycle methods chart in which we have three stages: the mounting stage, updating stage, and unmounting stage. Okay, so now let's start with the mounting stage. What is this mounting stage? In this stage, the component renders for the first time. That means it loads for the first time. So in this mounting stage, we have three lifecycle methods. The first is the constructor lifecycle method. Next we have the render, and the last we have component did mount. Okay, let's see the practical of this. Now I'll move to this IDE. What I will do is I'll create a folder. Let's name it as lifecycle. Okay, so inside this folder I'll create one component, lifecycle.js. I'll open this. Now to define the class page structure, I'll write RCC. Okay, now what I will do is I'll just create a state variable. So as I've told you in the last video that to initialize any variables before the page loads, we use constructor. Okay, because the constructor lifecycle method runs before this render lifecycle method also. Okay, so to initialize that state variable, I'll just create a constructor lifecycle method. I'll simply write constructor. Okay, so in this I'll just create a state variable. This dot state equals to, let's name it as text. I'll name the text as read. Okay, so after this what I will do is I'll just use that state variable in this div. I'll simply write he wore a this dot state dot text color dress in the party. Okay, so now this is what we have done, right? So in the chart you can see firstly this constructor method will run for the first time when the page will load, and then after that the component will be rendered for the first time. Next is component did mount. When this component did mount will run after this render method. So after this, create a component did mount lifecycle method. I'll simply write component. I'm getting the suggestions here. Okay, so now inside this what I want is I'll just run a set timeout function, which will take a callback as a first parameter. Second parameter will be the seconds after which I want to run this functionality. Okay, so what I want is I just want to change the value of this state variable after 1 second to, let's say, green. So I'll simply use the set state function, this dot set state. Okay, so inside this I'll update the state variable text as this dot, I'll just simply update it as text to let's say green. Okay, now okay, so basically what is the motive of writing this code is I just want to show that in which order they are running. Okay, so firstly this will run, it will initialize the state variable. Secondly, this render method will be it will be rendered for the first time, and after this render method this functionality will run after 1 second. Okay, now I will save this code and run this on the browser and check out what its output is. Okay, I'll simply open the terminal. So in the terminal I'll write change directory my app. Now I will start the application as npm start. Now let's check the output for this. So if I refresh the page, it is shown he wore a red dress. So after 2 seconds it got changed from red to green. Okay, so now you can see in the chart we are done with the mounting stage, in which we have seen firstly the constructor method will run, then the render method will run, and then component did mount. Okay, now we have successfully changed the state using the set state. Let me just show you the code again. Okay, you can see in the code, firstly the constructor method, then this render. So after this render, you know that in the chart this component did mount will run. Okay, so if this component did mount will run, in this we have the setMount function which will change the state from red to green. Okay, so after this state got changed, that means we are in the updating stage now. So in the updating stage, firstly this render method will be called, and after that we have a new method, that is component did update. Okay, so what I will do, I'll just create one component did update. After this I'll write component did update. Okay, in this I'll okay, before this what I will do, I'll just create one div here. Okay, and I'll give it the ID to this div as second. Okay, now I'll fill the text in this div from this component did update. Okay, I'll simply write here document dot get element by ID, right, and I'll select the ID as second. Okay, this means that it will refer to this div. Now inside this div I want to write the inner HTML as component updated, component got updated. Okay, now I will save this and check out its output. Now let's check the output for this. So it is shown he wore a red dress. Once if I just refresh it again, it is shown he wore a red dress in the party. After 2 seconds it got changed, he wore a green dress in the party, and then we also got component got updated. So how we are getting this output? Firstly, what happened when this whole component rendered for the first time, the value of this state variable text is red. Okay, because in the render method we are printing its value, this dot state dot text. Okay, firstly its value was red. So after this component got rendered for the first time, then this component did mount triggered. Okay, after 2 seconds it has a setMount function which will change the color of the text as green. Okay, because it is shown that this dot set state, it is changing the text variable to the green. Okay, so you can see after the 2 seconds it got changed to green, right? So what happened after that? So here in this component did mount, we are calling this dot set state. So if we are calling this dot set state, that means this whole component will re-render. If this whole component will re-render, the value of this green from red to green, it will update here. So once it is updated here, then what will happen? This function will trigger, component did update will trigger. So what it will do, it will just write the text this component got updated in this div that we have just created. Okay, because in the chart it is shown firstly the constructor will come, then render, then component did mount. Okay, and then in the updating stage what will happen? Whenever there will be any of these three options will come, like if there are any new props being passed, or is there any state change, or it is a force update, then what will it do? It will update that component, and if it will update that component, it will call the render method. After the render method, this component did update will be called. Okay, this is the only scene that we are getting in this code, right? Now the last stage which is left, that is unmounting stage. What is this unmounting stage? It occurs when the component is out of the DOM, when it is removed from the DOM. Okay, so what I will do is to show it spectacle, in this lifecycle component only, in this lifecycle folder, I'll create one more component. Okay, let me just take the example as let's just give it a name as let's say delete.js. Okay, so in this delete.js, what I will do is I'll again write RCC. Okay, so we got this structure. Now what I will do is I'll just keep it like this only. I'll remove this delete from here. Okay, or I'll just simply write like this hello world. I'll change it to hello world. Okay, now I will save this and I'll import this component inside the lifecycle.js. But before that, what I will do, I'll create one more state variable. So in this dot state, I'll create one more variable. Let's say show. I'll initialize its value as true. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. If you are not understanding it, just wait for a few minutes. You'll be able to understand everything. So what I will do is, after this, I'll just write one condition in this curly braces, that this dot state dot show question mark. I'm using ternary operator here. This means that if the value of this thing is true, then what I want is, I want to trigger this component. Means I want to show this component, delete component. I'll simply write like this, delete. Okay, else I don't want to show it, so I'll just remove from here. Okay, I just want to keep it empty. So this is the case that I want to show. Wait 1 second. Okay, we'll keep it empty. So this is a scenario that I want to show. If this value will be true, then I want to show this component, else not. Right? I'll save this and then we will check out the output, that is it showing or not, because by default the value of this state variable show is true. So this is the output that we are getting. Now what I will do is, I'll just create a button to delete this component. Right? By default the value of this show state variable is true. Now what I will do is, using a button, I'll just change the value of the show to false. So if it will be false, then we are going to get nothing. That means at that moment this component will be deleted. Why I'm doing this? Because I want to show you the functionality of component will unmount. Right? Wait 1 second, let me just create a button here. Okay, and then we'll just write some text. Let's say click, and in this we'll pass the on click event. We'll create one arrow function here, and in this function what I will do, I'll just call this this.setState function, which will change the value of this show variable. Okay, I'll just simply write here show as false. Okay, now we have changed the value to false. Now I will save this. Now let's check out the output. I'll refresh the page. So we are getting a button here. When I'm clicking on this button, you can see it got disappeared. That means now we are not showing this delete component. That means it is unmounted. It is unmounted from the DOM. It is removed from the DOM. Now in this, I'll just create one lifecycle method, that is component will unmount. Okay, and in this I'll simply print this console statement that component is deleted. Okay, I'll save this and now I'll open this in the browser. So we are getting this thing. Before this, I'll just open the console so that we can see the console statement. Okay, so now let's check out the functionality. Now if I clicked on the button, you can see we got the message as component is unmounted. That means this particular component, the delete component, has been unmounted, has been deleted from this DOM. Okay, so now we have discussed all the lifecycle methods. Let's just summarize a little bit. So we have 3 stages: mounting stage, updating stage, and unmounting stage. In the mounting stage, when the component will render for the first time. Okay, so before the component render for the first time, this constructor will be called. After that, the component will be rendered. Okay, so after the render, this component did mount will be called. Okay, next is the updating stage. What is updating stage? Whenever there is any new prop being passed, or there is a state change, or there is a force update, then the component will update. In this state, firstly the render method will be called, and then component did update will be called. Right? And the last stage is the unmounting stage. What is unmounting stage? When the component is removed from the DOM itself. Right? So before the component is removed from the DOM, this method, that is component will unmount, will be called, like we have just seen in the example. Right? So we are done with this topic. I hope you find this video really informative. In the coming videos, we are going to start with the MongoDB. We are done with the Reactjs, right? Some of the topics are left, such as connection with the backend. That is left. For that, we need to have the backend first, right? So in the next video, we'll start with the MongoDB. Okay. So yeah, that's all for today, and I will see you in the next video. But before that, subscribe my channel and hit on the bell icon for more such updates. Thank you so much.